Call me to order. Can I get a second?
Yes.
Second it is. Let's start this meeting.
Great. Well, welcome and thanks again. We're excited to get started formally on this project. I believe everybody has the agenda. There were a couple things I wanted to just mention before we get into the specifics of the agenda. One, I'd like to ask everybody on the committee to think about something. Don't expect an answer right now, but next week or next meeting, I'd like to get a little feedback. And from the RFP, I pulled out a sentence that said the Broadband Study Committee was chartered to study the feasibility of a municipal broadband infrastructure network, but is open to reviewing the franchising model and co-op option proposals. What I really would like to do is have each member of the committee think about what they would consider a successful outcome of this project. And in the next meeting, I'd like to start it off with everybody taking a minute or two. That'll help inform us as we go through the process and also as we prepare the final report. So just so we make sure that we are addressing everything that you think and looking to an outcome that you feel is what you would consider successful in the project. So just make that comment right now. I will send out my notes after each meeting so that I'll put that as a task so everybody will see that it's on there, but I just wanted to throw that out. Secondly, I want Jeff, I know Jeff was there when he presented to the committee. I just wanted Jeff to give a quick update on things that have transpired with other Massachusetts clients since that time, just to kind of make sure the committee's aware of other projects we're working on and things they're doing. So Jeff, if you wouldn't mind just taking a few minutes.
Sure, happy to. The biggest change since I was out there is that Quincy finished their RFP for their open access partnership and selected entry point. Still one more hurdle to get over, which is the mayor's race, which will happen on November 7th. The mayor's office is really the sponsor of the project. So he's won 6 terms. We're confident he'll get a 7th, but that's a necessary step along the way. So once he wins, assuming that is the case, they're going to go into high gear and moving into construction. Essentially, they've already selected their engineering firm and their open access partner. So next step will be to go into full-blown engineering for the phase 1 of the project, and then following that we'll be selecting the construction partner. So that's the biggest change. I know that Wilbraham is in the process of issuing their RFP for open access. And then we're working very closely with Westport on financing options, and we're going to bring them 2 to 3 financing options, and we're honing in on that. So we're getting closer there. Whatever we do in Westport will likely present to Fairhaven, and Fairhaven will decide where they go from there. So I think that's the most concise update. Milton, which is next to Quincy, issued an RFP for the same work we're doing with you. They selected entry point, and we're now working on the scope of work with Milton for that. And then we're also trying to finish up Weymouth's feasibility work. So I think that's the update.
Any questions, comments on any of that?
Anything you?
No questions. I just, I think just in terms of following the process, the town that is most similar to us, I think is going to be Westport from a geography perspective and a density perspective. So I'm very interested in seeing how that goes.
Yeah. We are hop, skip, and a jump ahead of you. So I agree. That's an important data point for this project. So we'll keep you informed as we move along.
Thank you.
All right.
Just to give you a quick update, we had 2 voting members that couldn't be here tonight. So, but this is being recorded, so they'll be able to view the recording after, so they'll be able to catch up on everything.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Looks like we have someone joining right now, so
Yeah, that's our third voting member that was
On
coming.
parking.
great.
Looks like a.
And just so you're aware, I am going to be taking notes as we go through this, so if I look away, I'm not ignoring anybody, just want to make sure. Because I know sometimes it looks like I'm doing something else, but I'm just taking notes for my own personal benefit. The last thing I wanted to just quickly address, Peter, I believe you had sent out the One Touch Make Ready bill and just asked to comment on that, and I don't think I'd gotten back to everyone. I did reach out to our head of operations, being the person on our side that probably is most aware of what's going on. And his general comments were One Touch Make Ready is a good thing and should be encouraged. As I think you know, most of the surrounding states have laws, and not only there, throughout the country. Most of them have laws, and most of them that don't are currently implementing them. So he basically said, I would definitely advise Dartmouth to support that policy. So that's a very simple explanation or simple response. He is not available right now, but if at some point you would like to have him join a future call and kind of talk about any specifics or why he thinks it's such a good thing, we're happy to set that up.
Okay, we can look at it for a future meeting if the committee wants to discuss it more.
All right. First thing on the official agenda, review dates for future meetings. I don't know. Did you get the exact dates? I didn't see it on the agenda.
So I've simplified the agenda, but I also forwarded your email to the committee, so they have everything. They have all your notes. I just had a little simpler agenda.
Got it. That's kind of what I was thinking. So I had basically just put in there every other week. So I'm hoping that works. Obviously, this can be fluid and we can change those as we go. The ones that I thought were a little, there is one November 21st on that cadence, which would put us the week of Thanksgiving. So if anybody has a problem with that, we can stretch it out. The December meeting would fall on December 19th, which is a little over a week before Christmas. So I don't think that's probably a major problem. And then I did skip a week between that December 19th meeting and January 9th, which just thinking everybody with the holidays, and I didn't really think we probably wanted to do a meeting on January 2nd, give people time to get back. So, and then I've just extended this out through February 20th. So unless there's any objection or comments, I would like to set that as the tentative meeting schedule so that we can all get those on our calendar. Anyone, any comments or thoughts?
Tuesday before Thanksgiving, I won't make it, but that doesn't mean we can't. I can give my comments. I'll be flying at this time.
All right. Okay, I think everyone here except for Kevin seems to be okay with all of them except the 21st. Let me reach out to the other two that aren't here. And if any of them have a problem with that date, then we can look at moving that one. But
okay, yeah, let me know sometime over the next week or so. I know you are kind of in charge of the schedule and the agenda for the committee, but I'd like to get that out to our team so that they can all hold those dates in their calendar and have as many of us as available as possible.
Yeah, I will work on it tomorrow.
Okay, great. Next section here, we're going to go through two things, website and survey, simply because those are the things that take the most time in this process. And we'd like to stand up the website as soon as possible and then formalize a survey so we can get feedback from as many people as possible in the community. So I'm going to have Eric pull up a sample of a website and kind of show you what we typically do. And then as we go through that, we'll ask some of the questions that that I had provided in the agenda that I came up with. So Jeff or Eric, if you want to share your screen. First question, simply we need a city logo for both the website and the survey. So I don't know if someone wants to take that assignment on your side of.
I can email it to you. I got it.
Okay, is that you, Peter? I'm sorry, I
Yes,
didn't.
yep, it's me.
Okay, so we'll get that and you can see, I'll let Eric talk here, but this is kind of the typical website. So go ahead, Eric, and let's just walk through it and then I may ask some questions as we go through.
Yeah, of course. So as you said before, the logo up top, which you just said you'll get to us, which is perfect. And then moving down, we have the survey, which is the most important part of this website currently, is just getting people to go to that, which is going to be through the website. So it's important to push that website so people know where they're going. And we have the survey at the top and then as well at the bottom, you'll see. And then going into pictures. These are the pictures that rotate through the website. We want to make sure that we have pictures that people recognize. So you guys will send those to us. Hopefully we'll get those soon so we can put them in, and just something that people will recognize, make it feel a little more like a town website.
So let me just ask the question there. Is there, I mean, in most cases, as Eric said, we have asked the community, someone on the committee to provide pictures that they would like to see on it. Eric has in some cases just gone online and tracked them down. So if we don't have somebody on your side that says, I'd like to take that on, then we will go out and find what we think makes sense and you can review those. So I guess the question is, anybody want to take that responsibility on of maybe sending us 4, 5, 6 pictures that we could add to this? It's very important that when the people go to this website, that it's not generic, that it's, they're not that actually see that it is a community website.
I think Kevin said he would do it. If not, I got some stock footage from the town too, so.
Okay,
If Kevin's got some stuff, great.
I will put that in the notes and again, that'll be on the notes as kind of an assignment. So thank you. Go ahead.
And just so you're aware as well, that's 6 photos in total on the website that there will be. So at minimum 6 photos. If more, we can choose through them. And then moving down, we go to the main message on the homepage. So this is from the committee. Did you end up sending out samples for this?
I sent a couple samples out for that. And again, we can write this for you, but I think if someone on the committee wants to take first stab at it, or somebody within the town, you know, we're not sure, you know, is this something that you want coming from the selectmen, coming from the committee? So if someone would like to take those samples and kind of write a draft, I'd be happy to schedule a meeting with that individual or individuals. I don't know. I know we can't have meetings with multiples, but if they want to talk through it at some point, but anybody like to take that assignment on?
I'm terrible with content.
Is this just the press release?
I think this is the message at the beginning
Of the website.
of the
The
website.
one that
so-
like about from Mayor Koch from Quincy,
Yeah.
right?
I can do that.
Yeah, there's actually, and this kind of goes in conjunction with another thing on there. So typically what we will want to do is create a community announcement, press release, however you want to call it. One of the things we're going to ask you about is, you know, what social media or other distribution channels does the town have? So, because we'd like to, at the bottom of the website, include if you have a Facebook account, Twitter, YouTube, anything like that. And then we'd like to send out an announcement, and you have samples of that as well, where it simply says, this is what the committee's doing, and we have created a website, and we have a survey that we would like you to go, you know, if there's any type of distribution list that you have with emails, some people have like non-emergency text streams, things like that. We want to announce this in every way we possibly can. So we'd like to have a kind of a press release that says this, and then when they go to the website, have just an introductory statement. And as you can see, this is just a sample, and I think I sent you a couple other samples.
Yeah, the town actually just hired a communications coordinator too. So we'll loop her in as far as getting the message out there. Once we're ready.
Just.
Yeah, maybe she can,
Since
yeah.
they're the-
Let me ask her if she can write this for us and get it together within the next, you know, few days.
Okay, yeah, if you could do that, and feel free to send her my information,
Yep.
and we can get on a call and kind of walk through it and
Yeah,
brainstorm.
what I'll do is I'll send you an email and CC her and, you know, I'm sure you can get all that. But I know like the town does have a Facebook page, does have a Twitter page, I think just opened up an Instagram page. The Community Access Center has a YouTube channel. So there's,
When we get an article written by New Bedford Light,
we can do that too, yeah.
Yeah, Dartmouth Chronicle.
Yeah, that'll be all through her. She can reach out to all them and with the press release and doing a.
And what was that? I didn't catch, you said an article
he
written
would-
by who?
He was talking to about there's a couple online newspapers, the New Bedford Light and the Dartmouth Week that are in the area. So those would be a couple of the couple of the online places, other than we got a radio station too that might do a little story on it. We could have them do a Facebook hit on it or something like that. So, but I think that's all something that she should be able to coordinate with you.
And what was her name again?
Her name is Magnolia.
McComish.
There it is. Chris is on. He's the assistant town administrator. What was her last name again, Chris?
McComish.
McComish.
I'm looking at some of the messages, and the only question I have is I think it should come from the select board.
Not necessarily, I mean, if you look at Westport's, you know, it was just generic. I think that the communications person can write it and then determine who it's best from.
Agreed. Yeah, but I mean, it just seems like a little. I was reading the Westport one in the book, but the Westport one is like really like just a condensed.
Right.
Like a really short thing, which I like in some degree, but I think if it came from the select board, it would show that there's a strong leadership behind it. Instead of just coming from us, where we're just a committee. I think that if the select board is the one putting out the message, I think it just sets the tone a little bit better.
Well, we could also put it in the message, you know, that the select board voted on this to make this committee, wants it to be a priority to do it. So
Right.
it could still have all the weight of the select board behind it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because I'm looking at some of the other ones, and the majority of them are coming from the mayor.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why I was kind of looking to have that strong leadership message, you know, coming from the select board, that they're the ones who are on board with this as well. It's,
we don't have one of those.
we don't have a select.
We don't have a mayor.
I know we don't have a mayor, we can't use the town administrator, but
Yeah.
the be all end all here in Dartmouth, as we all know, is the select board.
Sorry, my computer
That's-
just froze for a second on me.
No problem.
But that's something we can figure out with.
Yeah, so I think if Brad and Maggie work on getting the press release and the message together, we can share it with the group. Now, you could send stuff back to me, like one-on-one comments. We just can't deliberate over email. So, you know, if I send out a group email and say, here's the 2 letters, what's your comments? Don't reply all,
Oh, yeah.
just hit reply. And then if you send them back to me, then I can send them to Maggie, and then Maggie can
Right.
coordinate it all and redo the message. So it's that can be done over the next 2 weeks, you
Yep.
know, over
Okay.
that course. So,
Okay, that's great. Yeah, so we will, so our goal will be to work with Maggie and have for the next meeting, prior to the next meeting, have drafts, and then we can discuss and hopefully finalize those in the next meeting.
Yep.
Let's see. Sorry, Eric, I keep interrupting,
Oh,
but
you're
go
good.
ahead.
Perfect. And then the frequently asked questions section. If there are any questions that you'd like to add, or frequently asked questions you'd like to add to this, please let us know. Otherwise, we go off kind of a general what frequently asked questions people ask. So you'll be able to take a look at these more in depth. We can send something to you with all of them, all of the answers, and see if you'd like to add or change any. We'll change certain things about like incumbents that are on here, things like that, but everything else will stay fairly similar to this.
I
So
don't-
I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
this is just 2 things. One is it may be beneficial to just maybe work when you talk to Maggie, see if the select board wants to also discuss this at one of their upcoming meetings. One, as an opportunity to kind of say, hey, this project's kicked off, and let the general public know what the timeline is and what to expect. I think that might also be a good opportunity to get, maybe something formal from them in terms of language to include on this website. The second thing I was just thinking about is, I don't know if you want to include any of the, and I can't see it here, unfortunately, but anything with regards to this project timeline, because I feel like that's another question. Well, when is this wrapping up? What's the end result? What are we getting out of this? So maybe just having either your anticipated time under this frequently asked questions section, just food for thought.
Oh, I like that. I'll make that note, but we can certainly add a question, when will this study be complete? And I don't believe I sent these frequently asked questions out with the other things. So Eric, will you, just so everybody has it, send that to Peter and he can disseminate it? And so just send, because I mean, they're not going to have access to this website. So let's send just the standard questions with the answers, and then everyone can review that. And I'm assuming I can also work with Maggie on that if she has comments, but if we get any feedback from any of the committee members, we can incorporate that.
Yep.
And then one question related to that, and Eric's going there. So we typically don't get a lot of people, but there will be a way where they can contact someone and ask a question. Typically, there's someone within the town where that contact form would go to. We also typically will have a copy for ourselves, but is there an individual that you'd like these to go through where they can respond if somebody asks a specific question?
They probably should just go to me, Peter, and then I can, if I need to send it to the committee, I can forward any kind of questions that come into them too.
Okay, we've got that. Yeah, and we're, Peter, as I say, we'll also get a copy of that. And if you'd like us to help with the response, we're happy to do that.
Yeah. Great.
All right.
And just a quick note about the select board meeting. I was talking to the town administrator about this the other day, and I already kind of threw on his kind of long range plan as he's planning out the select board meetings, that we will want to go in front of the select board just before the survey kind of hits, or to start the survey process. So we tentatively scheduled I told him to maybe think of something for either late November or early December, depending on when we launch the survey, but that I would be in touch with him to get on an agenda. So.
Nice.
All right, I will. Yeah, I've got that note.
Okay. Is there anything else about the website that anyone has questions on before we move on to the survey?
The URL.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Couple questions there. First of all, Connect Dartmouth is, it would be a good idea, except we have a Dartmouth Connect. So that might cause some confusion. Dartmouth Fiber pretty succinctly explains kind of what we're talking about. Do we have to vote on that, or? Yeah.
You can make that.
Make a motion to
Second.
use Dartmouth Fiber.
Seconded.
So say,
Thanks for bringing that up.
ask
Didn't
for
know
all
we
in
had it.
favor. So I'll just ask for a vote.
Can I have a vote?
All in favor.
All in favor, aye? All right.
What is Dartmouth Connect?
That's a big problem.
So there you go. You got Dartmouth Fiber as the URL. And then what we'll do is this committee actually has a link on the town webpage. It just has the committee members' names and their charge on it. So we'll just put in big bold letters across the center of it. Click here for more information. And so this way, then it'll just connect to this website.
Perfect.
The follow-up question that I had about that is, once our engagement is complete, regardless of whether this project actually comes to fruition or not, who owns the DartmouthFiber.com if you guys reserve it?
It would be you. Typically what we do, so we'll reserve the name and basically this website and include it in the cost of our process here. We pay for that out of our side for 1 year. It's typically we have to renew everything and hold it for 1 year.
Yeah.
Regardless of where we are, we'll get a renewal notice next year and ask you if you want us to renew it or transfer it to you, however, whatever you want to do, or cancel it. We have projects that we've done 3 or 4 years ago where they just continue to renew it each year because they still want to have access to it. But that's completely up to you once it comes to renewal. And we could even have you set it up initially under your own, but we have an account and typically it's easier for us to just get it going, but you have every right or ownership of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say if they can build it, and then if for some reason it goes on years and years and the town doesn't want to pay the bill in the future, then we can look at migrating it over to the town's website.
Okay.
Yeah, I think all-in cost with the domain name and the annual cost, I believe it's $200 to $300. It's not significant, but certainly, and I believe we have had some that have just moved it to the town website as well to eliminate those fees. So, any other questions on that? I think we've gone through everything we need to get us going on the website.
And you guys are gonna send the frequently asked questions and answers?
Yes. Yeah, we will send that.
Perfect. Are we ready for the survey?
Yep.
All right. So again, the logo will be here as well. So we'll have the town logo. And what would you like to call the survey? The Dartmouth Broadband Survey, Dartmouth Committee Broadband Survey. What ideas do you think?
I'm all right with Dartmouth Broadband Survey. I don't think it needs to be anything. What do you think?
I mean, we all live, eat and breathe this, so I'm just wondering if it wouldn't be more clear to say something like Dartmouth Broadband Internet Access
Yeah.
Survey.
Yeah,
Did you get chat?
Yep. And the survey is really, that's what it's about. It's asking everybody if they have internet, who they use, what they use it for, etc. So.
And then this is what the survey will actually look like when it's posted on the website with the background and a little cleaner, but I'm going to take us over to the design just in case we choose to change some questions. We'll just look a little bit different. Actually, still looks pretty similar. Okay, now we can run through the questions. Please interrupt me if you'd like to change anything or if you want to think about the way a question's asked or the answers. If there's anything else you want to add in there. And then we'll just have a draft and we can look over this again, maybe when everyone else is here as well to finalize it, but so we can get a good idea. I believe the survey questions were sent over, so you may already have some things in mind, but
I think our main objective here is to, keep it to 10 to 12 questions maximum, because if it gets beyond 2 or 3 minutes of somebody's time, they're not going to take it. And I think we can get the main information we need to from that. So go ahead, Eric.
Okay, are you answering the survey as a residential customer or business customer? Simple answers, residential and business. What do you use the internet for? Going through gives us a good idea of what people in the town are using the internet for.
Under question 2, I would contemplate adding streaming TV services.
Okay.
A lot of people are starting to cut
Do
from Comcast and start using them solely for internet and streaming all the TV.
Would that work if we put that with entertainment? So if it was like an entertainment, streaming, and just have it in a parenthesis there. So
Clarify it, yeah.
Clarify it's streaming TV.
Yeah, I like that, because that's really is that
That's
kind of
the
gets to the crux of it there.
Yep. Perfect. And then going down, please describe your current internet access, describing whether it's wired, you only have cellular, or if you don't have internet service. This question will take you to a separate page depending on what you answer. If you answer the I have a wired connection, you're going to go to this page. Other answers won't see this, where you're just going to specifically answer what type of wired internet service you have. We will put.
I was saying we can be specific there. I mean, later in the agenda, we want to talk about what, you perceive to be the current options, but I believe it's Xfinity Comcast is your primary cable company. Is that
Correct.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
So we can-
Verizon is our
and-
telephone.
Verizon, yeah. So the DSL side. So we can put that specifically if we'd like. So just think about that as we go. There's probably more satellite options because you can typically get satellite from a lot of different places. They don't have to be local.
Right.
I have one that I'd like to see added because I see more and more people are starting to use it is the 5G.
For home internet.
Yeah, for home internet. I have a couple of friends that have that in their home and I'm starting to hear more and more people talking about it. I'd like to know if that's something that's growing because from prior
But-
meetings, we've
It is.
we've
That wouldn't
discovered
be, that wouldn't be under wired connections.
Yeah, I think
That's
we probably
cellular.
don't say it, but we may want to add their I have cellular network and then their say
5G.
5G
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
because that wouldn't be wired, but it's definitely becoming more and more common.
We could add another question that goes in there if you answer that I only have cellular to I'm using 5G or I'm using other, so you can actually see the exact amount that are using that.
Yeah, yeah.
You need
Okay.
to, do you want to know who they're using?
I don't think we need to know the actual provider. I think it's just how many people are actually starting to use them. Because that was one of the things when we were discussing it very early on, that was like, a kind of like, well, that may leapfrog what we're trying to do
Mhm.
because. But then, of course, I forgot what the other guy that was here who said that there's a line of sight issue with 5G. You have to practically be by the tower to get really good service, but all the people that I know that have it, they're not complaining.
No, it's not necessarily.
Yeah,
It's not really on site, but it is it's a
Sure.
shorter
yeah.
span than 4G.
I would just like to see if it's a growing market segment.
And now with millimeter wave, it's not even a short.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's gotten that better, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
With C-band, it was short,
Mm-hmm.
But with millimeter wave, it's a deeper.
Is that the ultra wideband?
Yeah.
All right, so you're just gonna add something if they click on cellular internet to ask if it just like what type of cellular connection it is.
Yeah,
Yes.
we will add that for a review when we
Yeah.
review a final survey.
Great.
Are you gonna ask what it, and this may, I don't know if this would stop people from taking it, but cause it may stump them a little bit, but it'd be interesting to see how much bandwidth they have. Like I know how much I buy, but I think maybe a lot of people would say, I have no clue.
No, most people.
That's what you generally get is people don't know exactly. So we don't have that on this survey, but we definitely could add that if that's a question you'd like. You do tend to get a lot of, I don't know. People don't know how to figure that out or don't remember what they ordered at first.
Yeah, I think that would cause more confusion and abandonment than it would help.
Yes.
Never mind.
So, and then, so we'll have that page with the cellular options. And then the why don't you have internet service? If they selected that up above, just asking why they don't, if there's not good options for them or if it's not affordable.
Have we ever put, I'm just asking you the question, Eric, because you've been involved, have we ever put just don't need it? I mean, some people just may
Yeah.
be off the grid and don't care.
Not commonly, but we definitely could.
Just that was more between you and I. I mean, I'm comfortable with these two unless someone
I
believes.
would like to go there sometimes, wherever that is.
Yeah.
And then moving down, so that now we'll go back to everyone can see these, which we may change it. We talked about it, where if you answer, I don't have internet service, there's no reason for you to see these. So we'll probably end up moving that down to number 8, which we'll go over in a moment. But everything should come back to now number 4, asking them 3 times on a scale of 1 to 5. How do you rate your current internet service provider overall reliability, overall speed, and overall cost on a 1 through 4 rating?
How about customer service?
We could definitely do that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a big one here
Yes.
Wanna do
We'll
customer
be at your
service?
house between 1 and 6.
Oh, I need to change those all too.
in a decade.
Or just calling into them.
I'll do that after.
Billing,
Representative.
yeah.
Representative.
Yeah,
Representative.
yeah. Overall customer service. Yeah.
Customer service, and then I just realized I need to change that from 1 through 5 to 1 through 4 on all of those. So I'll make that change as well.
And for nothing else, it's just gonna remind people how frustrated they really are with Comcast.
It definitely will.
Yeah, and as Eric mentioned, he and I went through this earlier today, and in the past, or at least in this survey, it went directly, even if you said I don't have internet, it took you to these questions, which is why it has I do not currently have internet service on all 3 of those. We will eliminate that bullet, because if they say up above I don't have service, it will not take them to these questions.
And then to number 7, how much do you pay monthly for your internet service, including everything? And that has have an entering box here to see.
Now, are you asking about their whole Comcast bill? Or are you asking just the internet?
That's the hard part, is we are asking just the internet, but a lot of those bills, when they're bundled, you don't know how to separate them. They come out very confusing. And so I can put something in there to try and get people to do that and separate them, but you never really.
Yeah, I would think you could either say do not include.
Yeah, do not
include
bundled items.
Telephone. I know not a lot of people use telephone, but I know with my Comcast bill for years, they made me include a phone line, even though I never used it. But you could say do not include telephone, TV, etc. Or we could put does this include, and a checkbox, but let's come up with some wording for that, Eric, and then run that by the group.
It's also going to include content, wouldn't it? Like if you have premium channels.
Yeah.
So you need to extract that out as well, wouldn't you?
Yes.
And,
Yeah,
and
and
I think
that's- I
a
think
lot
it
of people aren't gonna be able to extract all that out,
No.
you know, and so I think knowing it, I think what you were talking about, Brad, about check here if this includes other services. You know, so this way we know that, you know, somebody that puts in $300 isn't paying $300 for internet, they're paying $300.
That might be the,
like a whole package.
yeah, better way, because then, you know, we might be able to have a ballpark figure, or you guys might be able to have a ballpark figure of how to extract that out, just to get a rough estimate of what their internet only would be.
And as part of this process, we will go out to the various providers, research, make sure that we've got everybody, and we'll research their posted rates. So, you know, you're going to see when you go to their website, they're going to say, you know, $30 a month for whatever service. But it'll be, you know, it's interesting always to compare that to what people are actually saying their bill is, but that'll give us kind of a feel for where it should be.
Which is, well, have we gone over the incumbent billing and sending in bills, Brad?
We haven't. I've talked about that's on the agenda, or on I'll put that on a future agenda.
Okay. Because that, just so you're aware, that will be a way that we actually have people send us bills of what they are paying, and we can go through and make sure it's just the internet section that we're looking at, and that will be in the actual report next to the market research that we do, seeing their pricing. So you'll be able to see what they're advertising and then what people are actually paying from their bill. And that's useful as well. This one will probably be a little more, people might just not know and put 0. It's a service, so it's just a rough estimate to try and get what people are asking, but that will be a little more in depth.
Yeah, I think a lot more people are just gonna put their full amount that they pay.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
they're paying $250 or $300, that's what they're gonna put
Yeah.
in there, and they're
Yeah.
not gonna. But I'm sure we could find out of, you know, try and put on there somewhere, maybe send us a copy of your bill, or we could also try to solicit some people around town that live in town to see if we can get a copy of their bills to at least see some different types of services and what they're paying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I believe, Eric, don't we add I mean, we didn't show
Yeah.
that on this website, but we will want to put on the website if you would, completely voluntary, if you would like to upload a copy of your bill to help with this study, you can do that. And then every committee meeting, we'll be talking about how many survey responses we received, how many bills we received. And at some point, based on that, we may reach out to the committee and say, we need your help. We need more of these. And then that would go to the idea of actually asking for additional uploads. So yeah, Eric's showing you right now.
Yeah.
Way to upload those online as well from the website.
I just have one simple question. This particular question, what is this data going to give us? What is it that we're looking to glean from this information? What does it do? Does it help it with pricing or comparison? What does this information give us?
You're talking question number 7 here, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it just gives us a better feel. As I said, we'll do research, but you're going to find a lot of people aren't paying what somebody's website posts that they're paying. And so we just want to do that comparison and what are they actually paying, as opposed to, like I say, there's a lot of introductory rates, temporary rates. I don't know. Again, I've been on Comcast myself for years, and I noticed that it tends to go up and up and up. And then when I call and complain, they have a special deal for me again. And then it drops for 6 months or a year again. And so it's a way of knowing what they're actually paying if we can get enough responses.
Brad, can I make a comment?
Yes.
The survey we'll predict that this survey data will be the thing that the select board pays the most attention to. So all these questions will end up, so the select board is going to be interested in all of it, but in particular, they're going to want to know what the public thinks. And so the survey becomes really important in terms of informing the select board on any action that might be proposed.
Okay. I was just trying to understand how question 7 works as far as compiling the information that the select board and we are going to be looking at. I just wanted to understand how exactly that works. That's all. That was the only thing I was curious about.
Yeah, and so we'll do the best we can to weed out the ones that are not appropriate and come back hopefully with an average of this is what the average resident is paying for wired service. This is what the average resident is paying for wireless service. At least what their perception is. And because perception often is more important than reality. And so if they think they're paying this, that's a good thing for us to know, because then the next question is going to follow up with what do they consider to be reasonable price point for reliable internet connection.
There it is. Okay. Got it.
Should we take the jump and say reliable and faster? Reliable and better?
Fast and reliable, whatever you'd like.
I think that's a question though, is it, I mean, do we assume that the build out will yield a faster infrastructure than what's already existing?
And more reliable.
I hope so.
So fiber by its nature
Yeah.
has 25,000 times more capacity. So fiber is always irrefutably, well, if it's done well, it's designed right,
That's
always faster than cable, always. And so if you build a fiber network, we can with some certainty guarantee it will be more reliable and faster than cable.
Yeah. And I think the question here is, do we want, does say consider a reliable internet connection to be affordable? Do we want to somehow incorporate
It's going to be a lot better
into that? So
Do we want to put a gig of reliable? We could classify it down to that, so there's a speed that everyone's based it off of, because everyone probably has a
I would
different.
just say faster.
Just faster, faster
Yeah,
and
'cause
reliable.
there's no way Comcast has an upstream of anything beyond, I don't know, 30 meg. So, just reliable and faster internet.
We will include that in the draft.
And the only reason why I asked that is because it's how you guys design it. If you're gonna design it as just a straight shot, then there's, you don't have diversity built in. If it's going to be ring formatted, then you've got a reliability that, I'm not sure how you traditionally build out your networks. That's why I don't wanna over promise something in the survey.
Yeah, I mean, what about the asking a separate question about, I mean, I know we've talked about, we don't really want to ask. We don't really want to ask for what they consider their speed to be because they're not going to all know, but what about the idea of a question related to how important is speed? The speed of your network. I'm just throwing that out.
So essentially like a question like, does the idea of a faster, more reliable broadband infrastructure appeal to you? Just a simple question, simple yes or no.
Yeah.
Could we kind of throw it into like a customer survey, like, on what would make you change providers, like, and rank like 4 or 5 things, 1 through 5? So like you do speed, you do reliability, you do customer service, you do, I don't know what else, but like, if you listed 3 or 4 things in there and said, rank these between 1 and 4, why you would change. I don't know if that would be useful.
Yeah, I like that. Have we done that have we had any questions similar to that, Eric, with any surveys?
Yes, I believe we have. And there's a way you can do ranked questions. So they'll have to select all 4 options or all 5 options, whatever it is, and rank them 1st through 5th.
Okay. Yeah, let us come up with that, and because I like the idea of rank the following in order of importance to you with your internet connection. And we can come up with 4 or 5 and speed, reliability, customer service, price, obviously.
Unlimited versus, I mean, everyone,
Yeah.
some wireless companies say you have unlimited access until you hit a certain gig. So.
Yep. Perfect.
All right.
And then the last question that we have, the town of Dartmouth is considering building a fiber optic broadband network through the town. It would be open to any and all private sector service providers for internet access, voice, television, smart home, and other services. Would you support the town? Would you support town-owned fiber network infrastructure if it facilitated more internet choice in a competitive environment, faster internet speeds, and lower prices?
No, we were just asking.
Yeah.
I think it's really important here. Being cranky Yankees. I think it's really important that we say that it's that municipal tax dollars will not be used, or
Yeah.
is that?
I don't know that that's been determined.
Yeah, I don't wanna make a bed.
Actually, Westport put it in their thing. I just read it.
I would say at this point, it's too early in the process to say that municipal money, I mean, because technically municipal money is being used right now to pay for this survey.
Yeah. But
So-
the one thing that Westport did put, and again, this is, he touched on something that's what I'm keened up on, is the cranky Yankees that we have. And how this is going to appear going forward. Taxes would not be increased to fund the network. We need to include that somewhere, either in the message like they did or in the survey itself. Because that is going to be the number one,
That would be a true statement.
because it's gonna be an enterprise, it's gonna be like an enterprise fund. The funding's gonna come outside of taxes. And we know how everybody around here thinks. What are they gonna do with my taxes? Am I wrong?
I just don't wanna, I like, and not that I think it would pass. But I know the town has all kinds of, long-term capital projects that they're looking at right now.
Mhm.
And there's talk about, overrides and all this other stuff coming down the line.
Yeah.
And so I just don't wanna, I don't know if we're at, like, I don't ever see us taking tax money. To be honest, I think it has to be some kind of enterprise fund or something like that outside. But if you say that no tax money is being used, you're kind of tying your hands, because at some point you might just need $25,000 or $50,000 to do another part of a study or something like that you get from the town. Well, you don't want to be telling the town that we're not taking any tax money. And then,
No, but
It's
this
not-
says that it won't be increased.
It's not about using tax money. It's about not increasing taxes. That's the thing that people, that's the one thing that everybody around here just like locks onto. And that's the first thing they're gonna, I can already hear them. That's the first thing that we're gonna start talking about is going to be taxes. How is this gonna implicate?
well, do we, throw,
Because we
again,
know,
to figure out the appetite of this going forward?
yes,
Do we ask the question of, would you be willing to vote for a tax increase to fund such a project?
It's 100% no.
Or would you want us to look at a partnership with a
I would suggest
private
that
entity?
for the survey, we don't put that
yeah.
in just because we don't want, that will only start the conversation in a way that it's not intended to
so
go.
don't even talk about taxes, period.
I wouldn't.
Okay.
And
That's-
this
that's-
is
I mean,
Chris.
The town can, when they do the letter for the page, let the communications person figure out how they want to handle that.
Mhm.
That's their job. I wouldn't do it in the survey because that's just gonna create banter that you just don't. you don't
Agreed.
wanna need.
Okay.
Kristen,
How important is question 9? Like, what information are you getting?
That's the one.
Yeah, that's giving the information of if people would support or if they need more information or if they will
Yeah, that's the
just
one.
not support it.
I think, and to Jeff's point earlier, where he's saying this is one of the most important, the things they'll pay the most attention to.
I think how it's.
Obviously,
it's
typically you
fine.
get
Mhm.
a very high, typically a high percentage, if they say 90% of the people say, yes, we would support this.
Maybe under 9, put comments, allow some area for comments, just so that if people want to vent, they can,
Yeah,
but I
that's-
wouldn't, I mean,
That's not a bad one.
Chris, did you have something? Sorry, I think Chris was trying to.
Oh, it was just regarding that earlier thing regarding, if you'd be willing to pay more. I think under the FAQ section on the website, maybe that can just be kind of a question answer, hey, we're looking at methods that would have this be funded through an enterprise account, or, maybe that's the right place to kind of have some type of narrative just to cover your bases. In case people do have the question, you could just refer them there to get that answer. But I would agree. I think it's a little difficult to try and thread the needle on a survey, just in terms of the language.
I guess you kind of wrapped it up with the verbiage of the actual question. Would you support it if it's faster, more reliable, and less expensive? So I'm just trying to put myself in the minds of people that are reading this. And jumped out at me that, yeah, but I don't want to pay for it.
So I think what I just heard, Eric, is we want to add more reliable to that last sentence. In a competitive environment, faster internet speeds, more reliable.
The competitive environment is probably not even, that's the least expensive or least important phrase. I would say better customer service, more reliable, faster, and cheaper.
Just type those in, Eric.
That
and then
sounds
we
like a
can-
very loaded question, by the way.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, you're
Yeah.
asking everybody, if you could get more for less money, do
But
you
if,
want it?
if you follow it up with that question of the ranking, then, you know, you can get a little bit more information and or, you know, just a comment section so people can
Mhm.
provide additional information.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like that. So we will take all of this into consideration, hopefully come up with something that makes sense. If I get the opportunity, hopefully to talk with Maggie, I'll kind of run through it with her from a communications perspective, and then hopefully prior to the next meeting, we can send out the draft that we think has addressed all the things we've discussed here.
Perfect. Any other questions? Because now the last things that we have are just personal information if they would like to give more information, but these are not required. So if someone chooses to just end the survey without answering them, they can do so.
Have you guys ever, in your prior engagements, have you guys ever run into a situation where the incumbent tries to put false information and false responses in?
In the survey,
Yeah,
I'm sure they have. But one thing I can say, especially just on this number 9 question, which we've had in every survey or an option of it, is it's never been enough to downplay how many people say yes. We're
Yeah.
usually people are at about 95% for the yes.
okay.
So nothing that I think would be too extreme. I'm sure there has been. It's people who work for the companies just come in and say no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think our experience is more if you go further with the process and
Then
start saying the city is seriously considering doing this, definitely you'll get pushback at that point.
Okay.
Is there something that indicates that these aren't required, these last two questions, or that the rest are required?
I can put them in there. It will just, if you try to move on to the next page without answering it, it will pop up with this question is required.
Right. Right.
But
On the other ones, not these last.
Yeah, on the other ones, but these ones won't pop up with that. And I also can put in here, not required.
Yeah, I would just put optional information. Because really what we're asking for is if they say yes and put an email address in, then we can, if you want to send out some type of follow-up information to the group, we can do that.
Right.
And then the addresses are just so if we notice some trend of certain areas are responding differently than other areas of the town. So, but yeah, we'll put in there just optional additional information, Eric. So I'll make a
Yeah.
note of that.
Yeah, maybe at the top of the page or something. Because I know when I fill out a survey, a lot of times I don't like to give my personal information and I won't submit the survey if I have to, so making sure that it says optional would be
We will
great.
make that clear.
Yeah, the email address is probably the one that most people would be reluctant.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, because then they think you can get spammed on
Right.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that. To the beginning of the marketing of the survey, we are gonna use the town website and local newspapers, correct?
Yep.
And the
Social media
Twitter,
pages.
social media
Yeah.
pages. Have you guys ever used a QR code?
Yes,
Yes.
we'll put one on there, correct, Eric?
Yeah, we'll make
I
one
would-
for you.
I would like that, because then we could, that to me is where I would step up and I'll be gladly standing at a football game. And asking people to hit the QR code, because the more data we collect, the better, correct?
Exactly.
Okay,
Yes.
so yeah.
Yeah.
And you can put them up at Shaw's, put them up at Stop and Shop, put them up near them,
Yep.
where there's high traffic of Dartmouth residents.
Mhm.
I would gladly do that.
Especially if we get an article in Dartmouth Week.
Yeah,
Probably get something sent home, like with the.
So
schools got all the
This
digital-
survey is optimized for cell phones?
Yes. And the website. Both will be.
Yeah, and so what we, at each meeting, we'll be kind of updating, once the survey's out there, this is how many responses we've got. I think I mentioned, I believe I mentioned in the information I sent out that there's statistics that tell us when we get to a 95% confidence level in the results. And I'm without having gone through that specifically, we're thinking it's probably about 1,000. So we're going to want 1,000 responses. If we've gone halfway through the time period that we planned on having the survey out and we're only at 200, we're going to ask the committee, you as well as anything else, to what can we do to encourage responses? And anything that you guys can come up with, resending another reminder, additional information on whatever social media, etc. We'll do everything we can to get us to a level of confidence.
So when we were first discussing this contract and getting ready to sign it with Jeff, I know we've done some surveys in the past in this town, and a lot of them were done just strictly online, and that's how we want to really try to be. But we got some big pushback from people that, can't do it online. I don't have the access online. So I know, Jeff was, that this is an online survey. However, would there be ways, if we needed to, if we collected, paper surveys and entered them in, would that be available? Or are you like blocking IP addresses so somebody can't be taking the survey multiple times from like the same computer?
We can do both, so we can choose if we want to block them. That's up to you. We tend to block them just to make sure people aren't taking them multiple times to sway the answers, but I also could send out a separate link where they're not blocked if you needed to enter them.
Right. Because
So
I think that's what, like, my thought is like our senior center. I'm sure we could get some seniors to take the survey at the senior center, but it would come from that same like group of IPs or something like, that. But then again, like, I think having the option, because like we've gotten, nailed a few times on, oh, well, the survey was just online. That means I can't take it. And they're complaining on Facebook. So you're kind of like, oh, how's that? Like, you're online on Facebook, but you can't, but so we just may need to think of this as like having a printout that somebody can fill out but yeah, we might be able to, like I said, and I know that would be on us to enter, because like I said, I know we talked to Jeff about this ahead of time, and he made it very clear that everything's online and it's all tabulated there, which we're fine with. And we're going to try to go with that. But if push came to shove, we might need to do some kind of outreach like that we print out a paper one and have people send them in.
Yeah, I think, that's certainly doable. I think, as Eric said, he could set up just a special link where one person could enter multiple of them on the existing survey. I think another option would be we could just send a format, an Excel format, and say, if someone wants to just put that information into this Excel format so it's consistent. We just haven't anticipated the time for us to manually enter 500 surveys or several hundred surveys. But we'd certainly work with you on whatever. Again, our goal is to get you the best information we possibly can. So as we get through the process, we can talk about that. Any other questions on the survey at this point? So that will be something again that we'll send a draft out prior to the next meeting. When at that meeting, we'll start talking about the timing of when we want to get this out, how long we want to have it open for, et cetera. All right. Last thing, I believe we didn't talk about, so the social media resources, I think we talked about, we'll talk with Maggie on those and then run that by, make sure everything, just local providers. I think I meant, Comcast is your incumbent DSL carrier, I guess, cable, and Verizon is the DSL. Any other major one? Again, we will research this, but any other major one that you're aware of?
Just the
Any
5G
thoughts?
home. If you're doing 5G, it's the three big carriers, Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T.
Verizon, who did you say the second one was? T-Mobile.
T-Mobile
Okay,
and
sorry.
AT&T, the big three.
Gotcha. All right, and we will, there's actual sites, good information online where we'll go and look at who says they're predominant in your area and what percentage. I think we looked at Verizon as far as the DSL, and it's online, it said what, only 7% availability?
Yeah, it's fed out of New Bedford, so there's only a few.
Pretty minimal.
Few areas that are within the 18,000 feet.
Okay, and Comcast though was 90% plus, I believe.
Correct.
So we'll get all that information.
It will
I
be
think-
interesting to see the 5G, or the home internet from the wireless providers, how that's growing, because I know that it
Growing.
is.
Okay. That is it for the official agenda, other than talking about the next meeting. Any other thoughts or comments anybody wants to bring up?
No, I'm pretty good.
Okay. So for the next meeting, I will send out an agenda, just to give you an idea. So first thing, I want to do a follow-up discussion on everybody's thoughts on what the ideal outcome of this survey will be. So we'll start with that. I'm going to ask Jeff to take 10 to 15 minutes and kind of do an education session. We've talked about that before, and one thing we like to do is offer, we've got a list, but as we go through this, an example like PON versus Ethernet and that type of thing. Well, we'll spend a little time just explaining, here's the differences, the advantages of each, disadvantages of each, things like that. So Jeff, I'm going to let Jeff choose the starting point on that. But also as a part of the next meeting, we'll give you a list of, here's topics that we think you might be interested in. And at that point, we'd like the committee to choose those topics so that in each of the additional meetings, we have kind of a small 10 to 15 minute educational session at the beginning. So we'll let you choose what you feel is most important. We'll obviously review the homepage statement and the community announcement. We'll review the survey questions, hopefully get approval on all of those. I will like to just start talking. One of the things we talked about is we'd like to set up a call with the Public Works Department so we can start getting data on existing services, et cetera, and conditions. So we'll want to talk quickly about that and who we should set that up with and who wants to attend that. And then the last thing, as a part of our response, we included kind of an optional high-level feasibility level design. So I want to kind of go through with this group what the results of that would be, what the outcome would look like, show you that, the detail of that, and then start talking about whether or not that's something we want to include or not, and at what level. Some people like to do the entire town, some like to do a subset of the town, specific areas, and say, let's look at this area or that area. So we'll introduce the concept and then start talking about whether that's something we're going to do, and as I say, the size of that. So that's generally the topics for the next meeting, but again, I'll send out an agenda. With my notes to this, I'll include the sample agenda items, and then if anybody wants to say, I'd like to add this to it, you can let us know and we'll get that on the agenda.
Great. Very good.
Okay, anything else? Any other questions, comments?
Nope.
No, we're pretty good.
All right, well, great. Thank you for your time. And again, we appreciate this opportunity. So we're excited about moving forward, particularly with everything else that's going on in your area already.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
very
a lot,
much.
guys.
Have a good night.
Okay.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.
Yeah. So if I put in my address, this is what we qualify when we sell land. 106 William Street. Nope, there we go. So I don't get ultra wideband, but if I zoom in on this.
You're right there.
It's literally
Your house.
my house.
You
So
wanna,
my house and the guy next to
Recording.
do you wanna put in, because I'm in North Dartmouth,
So-
put in 34 South Brown, 34 Brown Street?
34 Brown.
Yeah.
We should motion to adjourn if we're done.
Actually,
Oh, you want, you
No.
got more?
yeah, no.
Mike, we're still going, so.
So you're full on.
Yeah,
So,
so it's,
It's, I'm down by the water.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm on the fringe of the investment circle.
I just want to go circle back to the first thing he discussed, which is the one touch make ready to go. That wasn't on the agenda, but since he said that they said his end, that is a very good idea. I think that's something we need to discuss as far as who do we let know that we want this to happen in the state of Massachusetts? Because that was the whole question behind it, right?
Well, what I can do is for the next agenda, I can use their draft letter.
Okay.
And just fill in Dartmouth and stuff, and we'll put it on for the next agenda to discuss.
Okay.
Properly and have.
Yeah, I
have the
don't want
vote. Yeah,
I don't want to lose that.
Yep.
That to me, that's an important thing because it'll make life a lot easier for us because the timeline of it will work in our favor, so.
and then, one thing I needed to report to you guys is actually Brad reached out to me today that he is jumping on a plane, flying across country, I think tomorrow. He's got some meetings in Connecticut, and so he's gonna come to the area, and meet with me on Thursday. He can only be here in the afternoon, but if anyone wants to meet up with him in person, he just wants to get a lay of the land, basically.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna drive him around to show him like the different, like how we have commercial here, have this over there.
When is this?
Thursday at like 11:30.
This,
This Thursday, as in like 2 days from now. So I told him, I said, you know, most of the committee works, so, and I said, honestly, if I have too many committee members, now I have to post it as a public meeting, so I said, if,
about what time?
like he said he was probably gonna come in around 11:30 AM. So, I'm just offering it to you guys, like I said, totally understand if you can't make it, and it was all last minute, and so he just said, you know, offer it to the committee. I told him, you know, my first concern was I can't post a meeting between now and then, so I can't have more than 2 people, you know, from the committee. It's like voting members from the committee, so.
About you? Can you make it?
I mean, I could,
but it sounds like you'd rather that it's more of an issue if we do, because
If
then,
everyone decides to come, yeah.
Right.
Like I said, we could have up to 2. You know, that's not a problem. It's just anything after that, we're supposed to have.
becomes a public meeting.
Right.
Becomes a public meeting. So, if somebody like I said, he totally understands. It's more of him just saying, hey, we can meet in person, say hi, and I can like kind of tour the area a little bit, and that's what it was all about.
I'd
So,
be interested in taking a tour with him. The only thing is I gotta check with my boss. It's kind of short notice, you know what I mean? I could do the, but I'm only on the job for 2 months now and
Yeah.
I don't want to pull that trigger just yet. But yeah, I'd be intrigued to see what he has to say because he's the one who's seen it all and done it all.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to see, because we have that big question about density in the middle and nothing on the ends. I wonder what he would think about it. Let's see what he has to say.
well, Peter, you could ask.
we can report back, and I'm sure he'll report back next meeting. It's just, you know.
I think it will be interesting for him, unless he saw Westport, it'll be interesting for him to physically see the layout, because it's a massive town.
Yeah.
third largest in the state.
Well, and it's also here, like, you also have the wide variety of area.
We do.
You know, you got Route 6, which is like jam-packed like a city.
Yeah.
And then you get down to the south end or the north end, and it's like miles away from all the area houses, you know, so it's, and everything in between, so, and that's, like, you know,
Put it this way, if it were easy, it would have already been done.
right.
Oh, true story. True story. True story. All right, I make a motion to adjourn. Can I get a second?
Second. Okay.
And we're adjourned.
Good.